Domestic violence is the leading cause of injury to women, more than car accidents, rapes, and muggings combined.
Каждые 40 минут одна женщина в России умирает от насилия в семье.
Around the world, at least 1 in every 3 women have either been beaten or otherwise abused during her lifetime.
Women of all races are about equally vulnerable to violence by an intimate partner.
The cost of intimate partner violence exceeds $5.1 billion each year.
La violencia con tu pareja te puede afectar, no importa de dónde seas.
Studies report that over 10 million children witness some type of domestic abuse annually.
As a child, growing up in a household where my mom was the victim, and then later on, my brother became an abuser, you kind of think things were normal because no one took effect into correcting the matter.
For 3 years, I was in an abusive relationship with my ex-husband. I've been choked, had my head slammed into a wall, and even had knives used against me as scare tactics.
You're stupid, you're fat, you're ugly, you're worthless, you're undeserving of love. What's the point of leaving? You'll never find someone else who'll love you, who'll treat you better, who'll treat you like a person. Sound familiar?
Everyone around you says, how could you be with someone like that? Why would you put up with that? To this day, I still can't completely tell you why or how, but it's a vicious cycle that you really get caught up into.
The fact that despite everything I know about violence against women, that I still found myself in an emotionally abusive relationship, I think speaks to how insidious it is.
Then later on, you get into an abusive relationship of your own. Didn't you think that things would be normal? But then after the second day, that's when the hit started.
Many times I felt worthless, degraded, ugly, and even embarrassed that the man I loved was the one that was actually hurting me.
You start looking at your past to try to find the good in the situation. You start believing everything that he has to tell you. And you try to make a positive out of everything.
After years or even months of abuse, you can begin to believe all of these things, and eventually this love that you once had for yourself, it just turns into this ugly, mean voice full of hate, constantly reminding you of everything, every feeling, every emotion this person put you through.
While they're abusive, there are still times where they're fun and they're loving and they're a good listener. And there's a balance where you have all these great things, and then there's these belittling moments or yelling moments or cursing moments, and it's easy to just write them off as a bad day. But the problem is that as the time goes on, the good times are less and less, and the yelling and the cursing comes more and more. And you wake up one day 3 years later and go, what the hell happened to my life?
Then one time, the hits turned into attempted murder. Whereas though you still try to justify things and try to make things right and still believe in everything that he says, until one day, it was just a person that you never knew, that you thought that you knew, it just changed.
But the manipulation of the abuser comes in to say, but look at all the good times we've had.
And it goes from these arms that are holding you tenderly at night and keeping you safe to the next day around your neck, grasping you, choking you so hard, and telling you that you deserve this and they're going to teach you a lesson. To then waking up the next morning with breakfast in bed, flowers, kisses, sorries, and I love you. And the cycle just continues.
Taking my children to school one day, he already had a plan in mind. And coming home thinking everything was going to be fine, I now became a victim. My 1-year-old, 3-year-old, and 5-year-old became witnesses to something where they're still traumatized with. The hits turned into a choke, turned into me losing bodily fluids and unconsciousness. Everything started fading. My children's cries, my sight, and then just darkness. This is hard to talk about.
It took me a long time to actually come forward about what had happened and to hold my ex accountable.
So as unhealthy as this sounds, why do we do this to ourselves? Why does this cycle continue? It is not okay to be hit. It is not okay to be called names. Nobody should make you feel like less of a person than you are. You're a person who deserves nothing but happiness, nothing but freedom, nothing but a healthy, trusting relationship.
The insidiousness is that it happens so slow and so incrementally that sometimes for me, you don't even realize that it's becoming abusive until you're years into this relationship.
Despite what I've been through in my past, I'm worthy of having a happy future, free from abuse.
Which now, thank God that I was revived. Thank God that it took a situation like that for me to actually get the strength to get away. And now things are so much better, and I have a better relationship with my children. The point of me telling you my story is for those who think there is no way out, or people who women or men who think that they can just believe is still good in a situation. If it turns to, if you see it's hits, and it can even be emotional, it can be physical, it can be verbal. Wrong is wrong. I stood up. It took a while, 7 years too long that I went through this. 7 years that my children were victims. 7 years that I was a victim. And if anybody is in a situation like this, take the initiative to help someone. And whoever's going through something or knows somebody, take the time to help.
Dating violence curriculums need to be implemented into school systems, and parents need to take the time to talk to your children. How is a teenager or young adult supposed to know what a healthy relationship is if nobody teaches them or nobody shows them how? If the issue is addressed at a young age, this will dramatically lessen or even eliminate the likelihood of your son, your daughter, your grandchild ending up in such a toxic and dangerous situation. It's time for society to wake up and to stop making jokes, stop making excuses, and to realize that this is a suppressed issue in society that needs to be dealt with now, before anyone else gets hurt or loses their life due to lack of education, understanding, action, or awareness. Join us on Sunday, March 11th as we work with the Women Against Abuse Agency of Philadelphia and the Love Is Not Abuse Coalition by Liz Claiborne to end domestic violence. Every person can make a difference, and we need you to stand up for what's right. Just say, enough!